Before you buy those loafers, put them back on the floor. There's something I want you to see before you look at the price, the leather, or even the size. Most women try on loafers, look down at their feet, and ask one simple question: do I like these? After decades of working with clothes, fit, and proportion, I would ask a very different question. What are these shoes doing to the woman wearing them? Because a loafer can be beautiful in your hand and completely wrong on your body. The toe can quietly make your legs appear shorter. The wrong vamp can visually cut the foot in half. A heavy sole can pull an otherwise elegant outfit downward, and a shoe labeled comfortable can feel very different after 40 minutes of walking. None of that means you need younger-looking shoes. Quite the opposite. Style after 60 becomes more powerful when you stop chasing what is fashionable and become more selective about what deserves a place in your wardrobe. That is what we do here: timeless women's wear, intelligent buying, and practical style for women who want to look refined without trying too hard. Today, I'll give you 5 rules I use to judge a loafer, including one detail most women never think to check. By the end, you'll be able to put on a pair, stand up, look in the mirror, take a few steps, and know within seconds whether that loafer deserves your money. Here is the first thing I would change about the way you shop for loafers. Stop judging them while you're looking down at your feet. I know that sounds strange. After all, you're buying shoes. Of course you want to look at the shoes. But when I evaluate footwear, I'm not interested in how attractive a loafer looks from 18 inches away. I want to know what happens when I step back and see the entire woman. So when you try on your next pair, stand up, straighten your posture, walk several steps away from the mirror if you can. Then look at yourself from head to toe. This is where a beautiful shoe sometimes becomes a bad purchase. A loafer may have gorgeous leather, elegant stitching, and exactly the color you wanted. But from a distance, perhaps the sole suddenly looks too heavy for your legs. Perhaps the shape makes your feet appear wider. Or perhaps the shoe creates so much visual weight at the bottom that your entire outfit feels grounded in the wrong way. And this is where most women get it completely wrong. They assume the problem is their ankles, their legs, their weight, their age. Sometimes it's simply the proportion of the shoe. Imagine you're wearing the straight-leg trousers you reach for every week, a fine knit sweater, and a simple leather handbag. Nothing complicated. You add a very chunky loafer, look down, and the loafer may seem fashionable. Step back, and suddenly the shoe is wearing the outfit. Now replace it with a slightly cleaner silhouette, a more refined sole, and a toe shape that gently continues the line of the leg. Same woman, same trousers. Same body, completely different impression. That is why I recommend bringing, or wearing, your most used trousers when you shop for loafers. Don't test an everyday shoe against an imaginary wardrobe. Test it against your real life. And remember this: buy for the woman in the mirror, not the shoe in your hand. A well-dressed woman over 60 does not need every piece to demand attention. She needs every piece to understand its role. And once you start looking at the whole silhouette, there is one tiny part of the loafer that becomes impossible to ignore: the toe, because its shape may be changing your proportions far more than you realize. The toe of your loafer is doing something your size label will never tell you. It is deciding where the eye travels next, and that matters much more than whether a shoe is technically in style. Think about a very broad, deeply rounded loafer. On the shelf, it may look comfortable and sensible. But once you put it on, that rounded shape can visually stop the foot instead of extending it. The result? Your feet may appear shorter and heavier, and with certain ankle-length pants, your entire lower half can look more compact. Now, the answer is not to run toward the sharpest pointed loafer you can find. That creates another problem. An exaggerated point can look severe, feel uncomfortable around mature feet, and sometimes gives the impression that you are trying to make the shoe fashionable rather than making the outfit beautiful. This sounds small, but it changes everything. What I usually prefer is somewhere in the middle. an almond toe, a softly tapered toe, or a refined, rounded square shape. These shapes give the eye a gentle direction forward without making your foot look squeezed into a triangle. And if you have wider feet, please remember this. A wider foot does not require a shoe that looks visually wide. Fit and appearance are two different things. Look for a loafer designed with enough room through the ball of the foot, rather than simply sizing up into a longer, bulkier shoe. The goal is genuine comfort without adding unnecessary visual weight. Imagine getting dressed for a weekend lunch. You have straight-leg trousers, a soft knit top, a structured handbag, and simple jewelry. Add a bulky, very round loafer, and your eye may go straight to the feet. Now change only the shoe. A beautifully fitted almond toe leather loafer gives the trouser line somewhere to continue. Suddenly the outfit feels longer, calmer, and more intentional. Not younger, not trendier, and better proportioned. That distinction becomes increasingly important after 60. A sophisticated woman does not need her shoes to announce themselves from across the room. She needs them to support the way she carries herself. So here is your quick test. Stand naturally and look at the outline of the toe. Ask yourself, does this shape gently continue my silhouette, or does my eye suddenly stop at my feet? If it stops, keep looking, but toe shape is only half the story. Because just a few inches farther back on that same loafer is a line most women never examine, and it can make your legs look surprisingly different. That line is the vamp. Now I want you to forget the toe for a moment and look a few inches higher. This is where a perfectly good loafer can quietly shorten your entire leg. The area I'm talking about is called the vamp. Simply put, it is the upper part of the shoe that covers the top of your foot. Most women notice its leather, stitching, buckle, or decoration. A designer notices something else. Where does that line stop your eye? Every horizontal line across your foot has an effect. It can allow the leg to visually continue, or it can create a stopping point. And when several stopping points appear close together, the lower leg can begin to look divided into little sections. Picture this. You're wearing cropped trousers for an afternoon lunch or running errands. The trousers end a few inches above the ankle. Then there is exposed skin. Then a high, heavy vamp crosses the foot. Then perhaps a thick sole underneath it. Pants, skin, shoe. 3 separate visual blocks. None of those pieces is necessarily wrong. It is the relationship between them that creates the problem. This is something I learned very early working with proportion. You should never judge a garment or accessory entirely by itself. The eye sees relationships. Now here's the part nobody talks about. A lower vamp is not automatically better either. Go too low, and certain loafers can lose the grounded, sophisticated character that makes this style so appealing in the first place. They can begin to feel more like a slipper than a proper structured shoe. What you want is balance. With ankle trousers, I often prefer a cleaner vamp that does not climb unnecessarily high up the foot, particularly if the shoe is dark and the ankle is exposed. With full-length trousers, you have more freedom because the transition from hem to shoe is less interrupted. So the next time you try on loafers, perform what I call the stop-start test. Put on your trousers. Stand several feet from the mirror. Do not stare at the shoe. Instead, allow your eyes to travel naturally from your hip, down your leg, toward the floor. Does the line feel smooth? Or does your eye go? Leg, stop. Ankle, stop. Shoe? If you notice those interruptions immediately, pay attention to them. For a family gathering, dinner, church, or simply an ordinary day when you want to feel polished, this small adjustment can make trousers you already own sit more beautifully on the body. And that is what intelligent style after 60 should do. Not disguise your age, not fight your body, simply remove unnecessary visual noise. But now, we need to leave the mirror completely, because the next loafer test cannot be done with your eyes. You need to pick the shoe up, put it in your hands, and bend it. Now pick up the loafer. Because there are things a beautiful mirror reflection will never tell you. A shoebox can say comfort. A description can say premium leather. A salesperson can tell you the shoe will soften with wear. None of those things matter as much as what the shoe actually does in your hands and on your feet. Start with the forefoot. Hold the loafer and gently bend it where the ball of your foot would naturally bend when you walk. There should be some flexibility there, but be careful. Soft is not the same as supportive. If the entire shoe folds and twists like a piece of fabric, that softness may feel wonderful for the first 5 minutes. It does not necessarily mean the shoe will support you through an afternoon of walking. Now move to the heel. Press the heel counter gently with your fingers. You want enough structure to help the back of the shoe hold its shape. Then look inside. Feel the footbed. Check the seams. Look at how the sole meets the upper. And please, do not let price make these decisions for you. Expensive is not the same as well-made. I have handled beautiful shoes with impressive labels that were poorly balanced, and modestly priced shoes that were thoughtfully constructed. Your feet do not know the logo. They know pressure. They know friction. They know whether your heel is slipping with every third step. And this is especially important with loafers, because there are no laces to rescue a poor fit. Now put both shoes on and walk. Not 3 careful steps in front of the mirror. Walk normally. Turn. Stop. Walk again. Notice whether your toes are gripping the inside of the shoe to keep it on. Notice whether the heel lifts excessively. Notice whether you are unconsciously shortening your stride. That last one matters. A shoe can technically fit and still change the way you move. Imagine wearing those loafers through an airport, during a shopping afternoon, or on a day of errands when you are on your feet for several hours. The shoe that felt beautifully soft while sitting down may become very different by the end of the day. And I want women over 60 to expect more from their footwear than simply avoiding pain. A good loafer should allow you to walk like yourself, upright, natural, unself-conscious. Because elegance is not created while standing perfectly still in front of a mirror. You see it when a woman moves. So before buying, remember 3 words: bend, press, walk. That little test can tell you more than an expensive label ever will. But even if a loafer passes every test so far, I still would not buy it yet. There is one final question I would ask, and surprisingly, it has nothing to do with the shoe. Here is the final test, and you cannot perform it by looking at your feet. You have to mentally walk back into your own closet. Before you buy a loafer, I want you to name 3 outfits you already own that you could wear with it. Not outfits you plan to buy. Not the new trousers you might order next month. Clothes that are hanging in your wardrobe right now. I call this the 3-outfit test. Start with everyday life. Could you wear these loafers with your favorite jeans? Or casual trousers for errands, lunch, or a weekend outing? Then think polished. Could they work with tailored pants and a blouse? A crisp shirt? Or a fine knit when you want to look a little more put together? Finally, think social. Could you make them work for dinner, a family gathering, church, or perhaps with a simple midi skirt or knit dress if that suits your style? If you cannot picture 3 convincing outfits without struggling, put the loafers back. This is where shopping becomes wardrobe building, and there is a very important difference between the two. Shopping asks, what do I want today? A good wardrobe asks, what will still serve me 6 months from now? That is also why I never judge value by the price tag alone. A $180 loafer worn 80 times may be a far better purchase than a $60 pair worn 4 times. The cheaper shoe cost less. It did not necessarily give you more value. Now here's the part that changes how you shop. When women tell me they have a closet full of clothes but still struggle to get dressed, the problem is often not that they own too little. They own too many isolated pieces. A beautiful blouse that works with almost nothing. A pair of trousers requiring one particular shoe. A wonderful loafer waiting for an outfit that never quite appears. Piece by piece, the closet becomes larger while getting less useful. A refined wardrobe works differently. The trousers understand the sweater. The sweater understands the coat understands the handbag, and the loafer quietly connects all of them. That is what sophisticated style looks like after 60. Not more, not louder, more connected. So when you are sitting in that shoe store with a beautiful loafer in your hand, resist the excitement for 10 seconds. Ask yourself, everyday? Polished? Social? If the answer is yes 3 times, now we have a shoe worth considering. But we are not quite finished. Because you now know 5 separate rules. What I want to give you next is even more useful. A way to perform all 5 in about 10 seconds. Now you're back where we started. You're standing in the store, the loafers are on your feet, and you're wondering whether to take them home. This time, don't ask yourself, do I like them? Give me 10 seconds. Stand up and look at your entire silhouette. Does the shoe balance your body, or does all the visual weight fall toward your feet? Look at the toe. Does the shape gently extend the line of your leg, or does it make your foot feel shorter, wider, or heavier? Now notice the vamp. Does your eye move smoothly from trouser to ankle to shoe, or does everything feel chopped into separate pieces? Take a few natural steps. No careful fitting room walk. Walk the way you would through an airport, across a restaurant, or down the sidewalk. Does your heel stay with you? Can your foot bend naturally? Are you walking normally, or already adjusting yourself to accommodate the shoe? And finally, think about your closet. Everyday, polished, social. Can you see this loafer working in all 3? That's the test. And here is something I have learned after years of studying clothes and the women who wear them. When the right piece is on your body, you usually don't need to negotiate with yourself. If you're saying, maybe with different pants, or perhaps they'll become comfortable, or I'll find something to wear with them, listen to that hesitation. A beautiful wardrobe is built as much by what you leave in the store as by what you bring home. And now there is only one idea I want you to remember when you walk out that door. The best loafer is rarely the one people notice first. That may sound strange after spending an entire video talking about shoes, but great style has never been about making every piece compete for attention. When you walk into a room, I want people to notice you, your posture, your presence, how naturally everything seems to belong together. And then, perhaps, they notice the beautiful loafers. That is the difference between wearing an impressive shoe and being a well-dressed woman. After 60, you do not need a larger wardrobe to become more stylish. In many cases, you need fewer pieces making better decisions for you. A flattering toe, a balanced vamp, a supportive construction, a natural walk, and a shoe that works with the life and wardrobe you already have. Style after 60 is not about looking younger. It is about becoming more precise, more selective, more confident about saying yes, and equally confident about saying no. So before your next pair of loafers reaches the checkout counter, give yourself those 10 seconds. Your feet and your wardrobe may thank you for years. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What gives you the most trouble when buying loafers? Finding enough width, heel slipping, arch support, or simply finding a shape that flatters your foot? Tell me in the comments. Your answer may help another woman here too. And if you appreciate timeless women's wear and practical style advice created specifically for women over 60, subscribe and join us. Because in the next video, I'm showing you the loafer shapes I would personally avoid after 60, and the few I would buy without hesitation.